Hey everyone, Sean, Sav, and Moo. Hey, we're still in the same order.
Yeah.
We got an amazing video for you today. Those of you who have a tendency to chili dip, you know what chili dip is, right? Chunk in those chips, blading the chips over the green. You know when chips are really stale, they suck, don't they? Well, we're going to address that, and it really is a revolution in the making because finally, everybody's talking about ground forces with the full swing. Well, you have ground forces with chipping as well. Duh, we'll show you. But before we get this incredible tidbit of information, you gotta subscribe. Because next week, we'll have another video that you really don't want to miss.
Please also leave a comment down below and give us a thumbs up.
And make sure you hit the bell so you never miss the video.
That's right. Listen to Moo. He's got wisdom. You have two systems in the machine. We talked about this just 2 weeks ago, right? Arm swing versus body turn, how the arms swing. It's the same in chipping, except miniaturized, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say, Sav, you have your phone in your pocket, it buzzes, you need to send a text back. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be tap dancing around? Mm-hmm. It's an important text. You got to make sure you don't push the wrong key, right? Yeah. So basically you become a statue and you got to text it back. Mm-hmm. So if you're a dentist working on somebody's mouth, you better not be tap dancing around that room. You're a statue and so is your assistant. So there's a time for you to be still. And whether you're sewing something as a surgeon or typing or whatever, the brain needs to shut you down so that you can make these fine manipulations. So if you're trying to manipulate the club to meet the ball, the way Moo was at the beginning of the season, it's okay. But since June, he hasn't missed one freaking chip. Yeah. So that's going to cause, and there's not one of those silly online or commercial chipping tools that's going to help you in that case, right? Yeah. So we're gonna show you how this technique is gonna nip things in the bud once and for all. And once you feel the difference between manipulating a chip and using weight, right?
Yeah.
So Moo, we're gonna start with you.
Okay.
So first things first. Okay. If you're tossing something. Yeah. Softball style. You're left-handed?
Yeah, I'm left-handed.
Okay, so I'm going to stand right over here.
Yeah.
And I want you to underhand toss me a golf ball right over here.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Where did you let go?
I didn't think about it. I just knew I had to go to your hand.
Right.
I was looking at your hand to see where to.
Where was your weight?
On
the front foot?
Yeah, lead leg.
When did it get there?
As soon as I stepped forward.
Right, yeah, so before you actually tossed?
Before I tossed, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So take your golf setup.
Yeah.
And take the ball that's in your hands right there and toss it to the left corner of that target.
Okay.
Where are you facing?
Target.
Did everybody see that? He shifted his weight. He cleared his hips. Why? Because if he didn't, the upper left arm would collide into your upper pec, get a pec full of bicep, and then the arm would collapse, wrap around, and the ball would go in the opposite direction. Not what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, a chip shot, put one in each hand.
Yeah.
Pretend you're going to toss it to me with the right hand.
All right.
Right. Where are you facing?
Facing you.
Notice where your weight is.
Yeah.
Because your brain's got to go get the ground with that foot to move your body out of the way so you have access to me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So so if you had one to toss to me and then one to toss to the net.
Yeah.
Toss one to me and toss one to the net. Right hand here, left hand there. There you go.
Yeah. That was first.
One for you, one for you.
Yeah.
Right? And in essence, what really happens is, while your right hand's going this way, tossing over here, your left hand is in a position to move in the opposite direction.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And this is typically what's going to happen when you put both hands on the club. So take your normal stance.
Okay.
And because there is lag, every instrument known to humanity is designed handle first in mind.
Yeah.
So in order for your hands to be naturally forward when you're chipping, how would you set up?
I would set up just slightly behind the ball, and
Well, wouldn't you have the ball out on the back foot?
Yeah.
We're doing chip, not pitch, right?
yeah, chip. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
it.
this
So a
is
little
it.
narrower in your stance.
Yeah.
You can widen it a tad.
Yeah.
You can even toe your right foot open a bit.
Yeah. So I can clear. Yeah.
That's it. Now, do you feel how the hands are naturally hanging in front of the ball right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now
So-
it's set.
If I'm hammering a nail, well, the elbow leads the hand leads the hammer. If I'm, imagine you got to remember the sword analogy?
Yeah, the machete.
So if you're taking a machete and you got a bamboo shoot here and you're going to cut through the bamboo shoot, the hand leads the blade.
That's right. Yeah.
If the blade leads the hand, we're in trouble.
That's right. You're in the hospital.
So let's see you get set up for a shot here. We're going to use an intermediate point.
Okay.
So there's a sweet spot as to how forward your hands need to be.
So I did practice shot for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do a little back and through. So when you're doing the back and through,
Yeah.
you're basically tossing a ball with your right going back
Yeah.
and tossing a ball with the left coming through.
Yeah.
So go back and through without stopping. Toss, 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 toss. Now, see how his body is moving? Notice the legs are moving. So many of you have been taught to keep the legs still.
Yeah. That's.
Don't move the legs. Be careful. Be stable in your legs. And then what happens is this freezes up. Now, these freeze up, then the hips freeze up.
Yeah. That's bad.
Then then the pelvis and rib cage can't turn anymore.
No.
So then you get a pec full of bicep on both sides. And when that happens, it diverts the club offline.
Yeah.
Now you can't go straight. And you feel like, whoa, something is amiss. It's like an electric eel.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like going in directions that you don't want it to go, but you
Yeah.
can't help it.
That's right. Your body just.
So notice as he's swinging back and through, and he's allowing the weight of his arms to swing in both directions. If the body moves out of the way, the obstacle moves out of the way of the arms, and the arms can stay straight. He's not trying to keep his arms straight. The arms are allowed to stay straight because there's no obstacle there, and they naturally stay straight.
Yeah.
So let's see you hit a chip shot like you want to land it at the base of the wall.
The base. Okay.
Yeah. How sweet is that?
That's nice.
Now, a lot of you have real deep issues with these short chip shots.
Yeah. I had the issue too. Start.
Used to.
Yeah.
Yes. So you notice when he started the swing, there was a little nudge. He was already in motion and he was using the weight of the arms to do. What's your task when you're basically chipping, Moo? What do you like to imagine?
I like to imagine where I want to land the ball.
Yeah.
So I do Goldilocks, like you would say, to feel out how much energy I need to load in the backswing.
Right? So Goldilocks would mean, well, you take one practice swing that's way too hard,
Yeah.
one practice swing that's way too soft,
Yeah.
and one in between, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to help you hone in on the amount of momentum that you need to do what?
I'll land to the target that I need.
Cut the dandelion
Cut
stem?
Yeah, cut the dandelion stem.
Well, that's good because
Yeah.
that's become very natural for him.
Yeah.
So if that's a dandelion in disguise, that dandelion has a stem.
Yeah.
I'm putting a chip shot in super slow motion that you see like with the worm cam with Dustin Johnson, because Dustin's got a really awesome short game.
Yeah.
That chip he hit on number 11 in the final round of the Masters.
Yeah.
He saved a gorgeous par there.
Yeah.
So when you're, imagine this is a dandelion in
Yeah.
disguise. When you do your practice swing, let's observe where the sole of the club actually cuts the grass.
Okay. So.
Okay. So it starts cutting here
Yeah.
and basically ends cutting here.
That's right. Yeah.
So if you played the ball way too far back in your stance
Yeah.
and you reach back for that,
I'm
so
out of position.
yeah, so if you were to stay, keep the hands forward, wouldn't you feel like you were gouging the ground?
Yeah.
That's no good.
Yeah.
And if the ball was too far forward, you'd have to go after it.
Yeah.
So you have to force the hands out in front,
Yeah.
and then it'd be really easy to chili dip that one.
Yeah.
So there's a sweet spot as to how far forward your hands can actually be with every swing in the bag.
Yeah.
So go back to your standard chip.
Okay.
So we're landing it at the base of the wall.
Yeah.
So let's see you use the weight of the arms to cut the dandelion stem in that direction. Super deluxe.
A little too much momentum there.
That's all right. Technique was amazing.
Yeah.
So, hey, that could have hopped into the hole. That
Right.
definitely would have made the distance.
Yeah.
And so the technique that you're using is fabulous.
Yeah.
We're going to show you a little bit down the line to show you how important this notice this T right here? That's an intermediate point that we're using to make sure we're going in the proper direction. And that has a lot to do with your contact with the golf ball. So, thanks, Moo.
No problem, Sean. My pleasure.
All right, Sav. Now here's something that is going to be majorly important for you when you're performing the task. Because Moo's got these nice heavy freaking pipes, right? So it's easy for him to feel the weight of the arm club unit now that he's got that kind of touch. Because you're getting that touch of the surgeon now.
Yeah, again, the nerves figured out.
Exactly. So we got this beautiful momentum that we're using to cut the dandelion stem. Now, for those of you who don't know how to feel weight yet, you get yourself a 4-pound hammer. 3-pound hammer is pretty good too. Or a 5-pound to 10-pound kettlebell. And go ahead and take your setup with that, Sav. You take your golf grip on that. You take your posture. You may bend a little in the knees. There we go. So now just rock the hammer back and forth without stopping. So does everybody see how her pelvis and rib cage are moving out of the way? So Sav, swing toward the camera. So the right arm doesn't hit the rib cage going back, and the left arm doesn't hit the rib cage coming through. Right now, her body is in self-preservation mode. This is what we want for every shot in the book, including putting. Right now, we're doing this on chipping, and you'll see how this really translates to your full swing later on, okay? That'll be from the video we did 2 weeks ago. So if you take your club and you feel the weight of your arms and club and just rock it back and through again without stopping. So notice the same pattern emerges here with Sav. No collision with the right arm going back, and no collision with the left arm coming through. So imagine we're chipping towards that plug right there, Sav. So let's say this is the intermediate point that's going to get you there. So if you go over that, you're basically going to the left edge of that plug. So swing back and through. So does everybody see how the path is staying in that direction? And because your path is moving in that direction, the low point is always in front of that back foot. So show me a backswing that's way too inside. Where does it feel like the low point's going to be now?
Behind it.
Behind. So for those of you who don't have an intermediate point and you tend to pull it inside, well, now you've just collapsed the arc. Now when you want to let it fall, you're going to scrape the ground before you get there. Show me something that's way too outside. So notice now, where does it feel like it's going to go?
This way.
Way too far to the right. And that's typically where you're going to scull the chip on the way down. So the right direction would have the right low point as well. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
So let's see it a couple. So let's say we're going to land it just at the bottom of that diamond-shaped target, just to the left of it. We're going to go right over that intermediate point there. Good. So after you're done, I want you to hold your finish, please. So look at that, guys. Beautiful chip, by the way. So notice your arms are nicely extended. And the momentum continued, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, why is that? Well, if I have a kid on a swing and I want the kid to swing towards you, I pull the kid back and I let him go. Does he stop here? No. The law, right? Momentum. An object in motion stays in motion, right? So that kid's going to keep swinging towards you. So your goal is to use the weight of that arm club unit and let the weight of the arm club unit swing through the dandelion stem and in the direction that you want the ball to go. And you just allow the momentum to peter out on its own.
Yeah.
So after you've performed your Goldilocks, so show me a practice swing that's way too strong. So notice she didn't use force.
No.
She used way too much weight.
Yeah.
Now show me momentum that's way too soft. Nice. That was nice, wasn't it? So let's do that with the ball now.
Okay.
Show me momentum that'd be way too soft to land just below that. Notice how gorgeous that contact was?
It was nice.
Wasn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
So if I were to say to you, land the ball right on the end of that tee, do you think you could do that? You're still cutting a dandelion stem? How much momentum do you need to land there? Wasn't that gorgeous? Notice she didn't chili dip.
No.
How come? Because you had a dandelion stem to cut.
Yeah.
To cut something, you have to come through. She actually accelerated naturally through there. Notice he didn't stick it in the ground?
Nope.
Notice he didn't shove? Notice this can be taken down. You can take this momentum, letting the weight of the arms do the thing. You actually had a mini kinetic chain there.
Yeah.
Itsy bitsy one,
Either one.
right? Wasn't that cool? So now, let's see you land it between the tee and the net.
Halfway.
Yep. How gorgeous is that? And let's see you land one at the base of the, right between the two target, diamond-shaped targets. Just gorgeous. So, see that demonstration? See how consistent that is.
Yeah.
That's because we're using a system that works well. Just like a lumberjack, when the lumberjack wants to cut down a tree, he's not going to shove the axe in the tree. That's for the green lumberjack who just got to camp, right?
Yeah.
And the veteran lumberjack standing right next to him is laughing his head off because he knows tomorrow morning he won't be able to get out of bed,
Yeah.
right?
Have fun.
So when you're a lumberjack, you're using the weight of the axe to do your work. We're doing the same thing here. We're using the weight of the hammer and we're letting it fall. So when it comes to now, I just saw Martin Hall do a video on golf pass on chipping. And he says, use gravity. So what he said was, you let the club fall, and he was falling back there. And as the club is falling, you turn the body.
There's a couple steps missing.
Well, the thing about that is, it's, well, how much do you turn the body? And when do you turn the body?
Yeah.
The thing is, you're already Pinocchio without the strings. Whoa, how good is that? You're welcome, right? And so this Pinocchio without strings only needs to have the proper command. So if I say to you, Sav, here's a ball, put in your left hand. You're not even left-handed, right?
No.
Give me that club. Let your arms hang in front of you. Nice golf posture. So bring the arm up. Now, I want you to let the arm fall in the direction of that diamond-shaped target. What happened to your body?
It came with it.
It turned,
Yeah.
right? So it's hard to verbalize what just happened there.
But you have to turn
You-
in the back too. You
Well,
can't just take it out.
well,
You could,
you
but-
could if you only had one arm.
Yeah.
So put it in both hands now. So if you take it back now, you need the other arm.
Yeah.
Now, notice how the body had to turn.
Yeah.
If your body doesn't turn, I say, okay, don't move the hips, try to bring the arms back. Right away, you got tension there. Your ribs are starting to split.
Yeah.
If you were my age, they would,
Yeah.
right? Now they're not. But so you feel that tension,
Yeah.
and now it feels like you can't go any further.
Yeah. No, you can't.
So if I say to you, go super slow and let the body turn as it needs to, look at this. And then let it go to the target. There you go. So that's the essence of human motor skill movements, right? Human movement patterns.
Just like any other sport.
Just like any other sport, any other discipline. So if you're in the manipulative state when you're chipping, best of luck to you. Roll the dice. If you're chipping up against the grain on Bermuda, or you're chipping on on a very delicate surface, chances are we're not going to do too well.
Yeah.
But if you say, okay, let's say I was on I wanted to chip it thin intentionally. So here's your club back, and you're on hard pan, or you're chipping out of a divot, and there's no grass. So let the club hang lightly in the air. Do you feel it hanging from the shoulders?
Yeah.
So because you feel the weight of the arm club unit hanging from the shoulders, you know how to use the weight.
Yeah.
So the arms are basically waiting for you right now, right?
Yeah.
So how do you send the arms into action?
Just like a little. Yeah. Me, it's more like a in my head thing, where I can like feel a little momentum starting.
There's a little shimmy,
Yeah.
right?
A little shimmy.
A little mental shimmy
Yeah.
that sends, I call it a little ballistic, action that's
Yeah.
going to nudge the arm club unit into the backswing. So it's like a kid on a swing, and what you do is you nudge the kid back and let him fall, right? So you just need a little ballistic to move everything into the backswing.
Yeah.
So go ahead and let everything hang right at the surface of the grass. So let's see you cut through the dandelion stem while staying on the grazing side of the grass. How's that?
Perfect.
You see how accurate that was?
That was clean.
So you can hit that chip when you're against the grain and just beautifully nip it above the surface of the grass so that the leading edge doesn't grab. So that's a really important, technique to have.
I think one thing also, when we were talking to Robert in the podcast,
Yep.
in the last podcast, he was asking how to feel that easy momentum
Yep.
within the swing when you actually go to swing it.
Yes.
And my advice to him was to practice the perpetual motion, because
Yes.
within the perpetual motion you can't shove and manipulate.
Right.
So-
Because you're in reaction mode the whole
Yeah.
time.
So once you get to like the third or fourth rep in the perpetual motion, you'll get a sense of what that's supposed to feel like. Just
Yes.
the easy, like letting the momentum go.
Yes.
And then you can incorporate that into your actual chip.
Listen to Sav. She knows what she's talking about. So let's look at this right-handed, and we'll finish the session. When, to finalize this, we talked about how I wanted to, let's say if I was going bowling and I want the hammer to move towards you. Notice how my body has to turn out of the way to allow my arm to move in your direction. Your shoulders individually only have 20 degrees of range. That's it. And then when you handcuff both hands to the club, you're down now to about 5 degrees. It's just a buffer zone. So the body has to move out of the way in both directions for the arms to have access. So if I was going towards you and I wanted to hammer this ball towards you, well, I wouldn't go here. That doesn't work. I'd be going this way. So now I just do a backswing and stop, and I let the hammer, if I say let the hammer fall, notice how the hammer wants to go your way. If I did the same thing with the club, and I get into a position here, play the ball off my back foot, let me get into better footing here, and I let it fall. Notice where I'm going. So if I say, all right, I take the club back and stop. Right now it feels like if I let it fall, it's going to go left of that intermediate point and towards the left edge of the camera. So I take it back, let it fall. Look at that gorgeous contact. So I'm just letting the arms fall towards you. I'm cutting through a dandelion stem in the direction I want the ball to go. So then there's none of this needed, configuration of how much to turn. It's just let it go in that direction. But if I say, let it go toward the ball, that's what's going to happen. If your attention is on the ball, then all you're going to do is let it fall into the ball, and that's where you'll chili dip, because the ball is the end. So that means, there, I'm done. But if I wanted to cut through the stem and move toward the target, notice now the momentum is allowed to continue. So notice where the low point needs to be. Ball better be there. Bring that over. So now feel the weight of the arm club unit. Now I'm going to use the weight of that arm club unit to cut the stem in that direction. So notice how I'm never, see, I got a pec full of bicep and this arm is collapsing. That's why you see a lot of this, hinge and hold technique out there. Well, yeah, you have to hinge. If the body doesn't turn out of the way, you get a big fat collapse of the left arm into the rib cage. The right arm is now collapsing. As soon as it collapses, it activates the wrists. So instead of doing that remove the obstacle. So now from there, I let the arm swing into the backswing. Everything is free. So a good way to look at it is, if I do a backswing in super slow motion, you guys are going to love this one. So super slow motion, and don't let the left arm hit me. See that? Smush. Don't let it hit me, don't let it hit me, don't let it hit me. See how? Look at that. Everything's got to move out of the way. So now I remove all the tension, but I have to keep my direction in mind. If I did that, well, I got no direction. My body feels relaxed and there's no collapsing into me, but I'm moving way too far inside. So as long as I'm moving in the direction I want the ball to go, let it fall. Ooh, do you see how sweet that was? So I got this beautiful cut through the dandelion stem. Don't let it hit me. Fall through. Don't let it hit me. Fall through. So that's another way that you could do it. Or feel the weight, and it's a little mini heave into the backswing. Heave, fall. And that is your lumberjack. Let's say he's cutting down a tree or she's cutting down a tree, and you're down to the last thread. Then you just heave it a little and let the axe fall through that thread and the tree falls down. Same thing here. You just have a thread. You got a dandelion stem to cut. So you feel the weight. You have your direction. I want to land it just at the base of the net. Feel the weight. Let it fall at the base of the net. So notice this is a one-taker for everyone. We didn't miss one chip. That's how confident you are going to be when you perform this chipping action, okay? So I hope you enjoyed that. And make sure you subscribe to our channel for next week, man. You really don't want to miss it. And to get a more elaborate action on this, right now we're in a beautiful off-season training series on our premium channel. And we're elaborating this in the full swing so that you know how to build this into your system, into your focus. And then when you come next spring, you want to go play golf. Well, it's just, where do I want to land it? Right over there or way over there? Perfect. How do I get there? Well, I think all we need is that feel right here. One feel to one target. Everything comes together like Pinocchio with no strings. This is what we want for you. This is how you play golf. This is how you can play golf in the zone, because playing with a hornet's nest buzzing around your head is no fun.